You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
What a day of Test cricket we have. You can't help but have a smile on your face. At least I can't when I think about the day India have had at the Gabba on day 3 of the 4th Test. 123 runs added by Shardul Thakur and Washington Sundar for the 7th wicket that took India from 186 for 6 to 309 for 7. India trailed Australia by just 33 runs by the time India were bowled out. Australia are now 21 for none at Stumps. Ayaz, we keep talking about the spirit India have shown in this series, and that 7th wicket stand was everything Rahane's team have been about during this series, isn't it?
Well, I think it's absolutely true. I think the fact that India have come back so strongly in this series after the debacle at Adelaide is a clear indication of what the ethos of the team is. I think that's something that we've talked about it fleetingly, but I think the culture in the team not to give up, to keep fighting, even the lower order batsmen or the bowlers, apart from the fact that the fielding hasn't been quite up to the mark, and that's true of both teams. I think in every department, India has shown a lot of gumption, a lot of spirit, a never say die spirit, in fact, which has troubled the Aussies no end. In fact, in my opinion, it's punctured the Aussies, their aspirations of kind of winning the series easily and exacting revenge for the defeat in 2018. That's not happened. And a clear example of that came again today when Washington Sundar and Shardul Thakur put up a century partnership just when it seemed that Australia might seize a 100, 120, 140 run lead. It wasn't to be. Finally, the lead was whittled down to 33, which is slender in the circumstances. And actually, I think the Australian team is under pressure because if they have to win the series, at some stage they have to effect a declaration. And for effecting a declaration tomorrow, they'll have to take risks, the batsmen, and they could end up, losing wickets, and the pressure then mounts again on them. So this match is still tantalizingly poised.
I'm Menra Dorji.
And I'm Ajaz Memon.
And you're listening to the Aussie Challenge podcast on the Quint, powered by Farm Easy and MediBuddy.
Okay, I'm going to take you through the scores before I get to Ayaz with my questions. India had Rahane and Pujara start on the overnight score of 62 for 2, and they added 43 runs before Pujara fell on 25. Rahane followed on 37, Mayank made 38, and Pant made 23, but India found itself in trouble at 186 for 6. Then Shardul Thakur joined Washington Sundar, and the two played a memorable innings, 123 runs for the 7th wicket, with Thakur top scoring with 67 and Sundar making 62. India were eventually bowled out on 336, and Josh Hazlewood completed a fifer, conceding 37 runs. Australia 21 for none at Stumps. Now, Ayaz had asked you earlier during our podcasts, in earlier podcasts, if India had missed a trick by not playing Kuldeep Yadav, to go with a little more experience in Test cricket in their bowling attack. But, as they've chosen to play an all-rounder in Washington Sundar, he's already picked 3 wickets. He had the solid stand with Shardul Thakur today. Just goes to show another great, selection decision made by Ajinkya Rahane.
Well, it's a team management. I think we just keep, for some reason, I don't think we've given enough credit to the coach, the support staff. It's not just somebody who just plucks out somebody from somewhere and puts him into the team. The fact is that Washington Sundar wasn't originally in the Test squad. He was drafted into the Test squad. So the selectors have played a part, the team management has played a part, and the biggest part has been played by Washington Sundar himself. This is, in my opinion, this is amongst the most, formidable Test match debuts that I've seen in a long, long time. I can't think of too many. You have to go a long way back to Sourav Ganguly making a century in his first Test match at Lord's and then another century in the next Test or something like that. Because to score a half century, and it's not about the state of the pitch, which is still playing true, but the pressure of the circumstances. He's only 21 years old. He's picked up 3 wickets already in this match. So I think Washington Sundar has made a statement, and as I mentioned earlier, he was not part of the original squad, and now it'll be difficult to keep him out of the squad even if all the others come back.
Okay, we must talk about the partnership though. I mean, the shots they played, the pace at which, the partnership went, most of it was dictated by India. And it wasn't as if Australia weren't on their A game, I mean, a little before tea they probably weren't. But after, Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, they were just charging at the two of them. But they just soldiered on and, made that solid partnership that, has put India in such a great position in the match now.
Yes, and there are two reasons for it. One is, of course, as I mentioned, the bravado shown, the never say die spirit, etc., etc. The other is, and this is actually, this is actually a plaudits to the Indian cricket system. The way it, there are so many areas in which we can all be very critical. But the fact is that India's domestic cricket is becoming very strong, and this is a reflection of that. The way Washington Sundar and Thakur have played. For in under 19 cricket, Washington Sundar was an opening batsman along with Rishabh Pant in the under 19 tournaments. He's played a lot of his cricket as a front order or a top order batsman. So he's not had enough first class experience because he's been classified as a white ball cricketer, but his batting skills have been learnt well in the early formative years of his life. And then there is Shardul Thakur, who's got 6 half centuries to his credit in first class cricket. He's played over 60 matches. So, and I think what Thakur showed today was, sometimes it's a cliche, but the Kharoos Bombay school of cricket. You don't give up. You for pride. You play with pride and you play with a lot of spunk. You don't give up. That's what he showed today. In fact, it was a very clever way in which the partnership evolved. If you go back and look at the score lines, you'll see that Sundar started a little more aggressively, but because he's the more organized batsman and he saw Shardul Thakur taking the attack to the bowlers, he became the anchor and he let Shardul Thakur do the attacking. So it was a very astute partnership, apart from the fact that it was very productive.
Okay, I must talk about Mayank Agarwal, personal favourite here. But I mean, he scored that 38 today. Isn't the best of numbers for me to be making a case. But he was dropped after just 2 matches there. I mean, for someone who's done so well on Australian soil before, I think you feel like it was a little too early to have dropped him?
I don't think so. I think 2 matches, I mean, you might say it's not too many, but the manner in which he lost his wicket in all those 4 innings wasn't complimentary to a batsman who's otherwise so good. I think Mayank Agarwal, I rate him very highly, and I thought even the way he was batting today, I felt to myself, without getting into social media and tweeting about it, that India may have lost an opener, but has found a sound middle order batsman. And then shortly after that, he fell to a bad shot. Now that is something that he needs to guard against, because when you're such a top quality player, where you've got everything that a batsman requires, good sound defensive technique and also the strokes to go with it, then you need to build up big scores, because there are 2 things. One is, if you make a mistake, it hurts your team badly in a match or in a series. The other is that if you make a mistake, there's so much pressure, there's so many other talented guys around, that you're compelled, the selectors are compelled to look at somebody else, and you lose your place and may not regain it for a long, long time. So Mayank Agarwal needs to sort his stroke selection out more than anything else.
Okay, so Australia are 21 for none at Stumps. We know India just need a draw to be able to retain the Border Gavaskar Trophy, since they're the defending champions. Australia will want to go for the win here, because otherwise, the series doesn't end up their way. So how does the match go from here? If you had a wish list, we know what the Aussies want, but for India, what would we want to be hoping for in the first session tomorrow?
I think India will be hoping for 2 or 3 wickets in the first session. You get those wickets, then it, slows down Australia's run rate. I mean, you force them onto the defensive. Australia's best chance of winning this match, I think, is notching up runs quickly enough to declare, not necessarily at tea time, because they may not have enough runs on the board, but about maybe an hour after tea, which means that India will still have to bat out 3.5 sessions, and that could get tough if you're chasing about 300 in the 4th innings at Brisbane. So India need to pick up some wickets early on, especially that of David Warner, who can really force the pace. But if Australia don't lose wickets, if they have lost only 1 wicket and there are some 100, 110, 115 for 1, then it seems that the pressure will start coming on India. But as I see it now, this is still a very open game, and it's a rookie Indian team, at least in the bowling department. And if they can put so much pressure on Australia so far, I think there's still reason to be optimistic.
I just checked the weather forecast. Scattered thunderstorms, they're saying on Monday, Tuesday in Brisbane. So that's also going to play a factor. And considering India still have done so well in today, also in the last match, I mean, there's a lot that Australia have to fear now, right?
Absolutely. I think the weather, I mean, look, it's not just that India came so close to Australia's score, it's also the amount of time the Indian batsmen spent today. So if they had made the same number of runs and given maybe 60 minutes more for Australia to bat today, it would have actually worked to Australia's advantage if they had finished the day at 70, 80 for one. Because then the lead would have been that much more, it would have been in excess of 100. Australia are fighting on two fronts. One is that, of course, they have to preserve their wickets and notch up a good score. The other is they're fighting against overs. I mean, to have enough overs. And if there's rain, it's going to scuttle their plans of a declaration. And as you mentioned, if India draws the match, they win the border Gavaskar Trophy. But more than that, it'll be a moral victory in every sense of the word.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Ayaz. We will be back with him on what will be the second last episode of the Aussie Challenge podcast on Monday evening. Thank you, Ayaz.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you all for listening to the Aussie Challenge podcast with Ajaz Memon on the Quint, powered by Farm Easy, India's largest online pharmacy, and MediBuddy.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.